Hey, what is up, everybody? Kevin here. Welcome to the Snowboard Pro Camp live chat. We'll be on for the next hour to talk to you guys, answer all your snowboard questions. So today I'm in Whistler, BC, Canada. Here in Whistler, managed to do a few hikes up into the mountains to find some snow. Had some good times up there hiking with Andreas. If you guys have seen one of the recent videos, you saw that we reached a summit of one of the mountains around here. And also got a new snowboard setup. So at the moment, a lot of the 2020 snowboards are on sale. So I picked up the Capita, the Outsiders board, and I put some Union Strata bindings on it. So really stoked about that setup. Uploaded that video last night. But yeah, on here for the next hour to talk to all of you guys, to answer your questions. If you guys have any questions about snowboarding, definitely hit me up. I hope you guys are all doing well out there, having a good spring. And yeah, just stoked to be on here to talk to you guys. So let's see who's in the chat. Just to start off with, give some people some shout outs. Thanks to Darius Snow for tuning in early. Highland Cow, Joaquin Games, Jai McCauley, Derek B, Carrie Pierce is on here. Reds Cap. Thank you guys all for tuning in. When you guys ask a question as well, it'd be amazing to hear where you guys are watching from, because I know that we have people watching from all over the world. So it'd be cool to hear where you guys are watching from. Linkaroo saying, hey, Kevin, will you ever come out to Alberta, BC border to the AB Big 3? Yeah, I would love to get out to closer to the BC Alberta border and do some snowboarding over there in the Rockies. I know there's lots of amazing places to go between Jasper, Banff, and yeah, I'm sure there's like just dozens of amazing places to go in the Rockies. So I'll have to make the trip next winter for sure. I always mean to come out to the Rockies. I still haven't been out there, and a place like Banff is world famous. So would love to get out there snowboarding sometime soon. But yeah, let's see what else is going on here. Lil Joe says, do you like the Libtech Skunk Ape? I've actually never ridden that board, but I know that the Skunk Ape is definitely like a snowboard for bigger guys and girls. So it's like a big board. It's wide. It's yeah. So if you have bigger feet, if you're a big person, then the Skunk Ape is like designed for that. So it's a pretty burly board. Yeah, we got people letting us know where they're watching from. We got Stoked Shredder from Belgium, Lil Goji from Seattle, Thomas watching from Belgium. We've got Manuel from Spain, Lil Goji again from Seattle. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Sebastian from Argentina, Calvin from Michigan, Donut from Bellingham. I think Bellingham, Washington probably. Awesome. Lots of people from Washington. It's awesome to see. Orland from Snohomish, Washington. And we got Reggie. I know Reggie lives down around LA. Awesome, guys. Shout out to all the moderators on the chat, too. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Reds Cap, Reggie, Chuck Van, all you guys, all the moderators out there. Michael watching from the Netherlands. Highland Cow asking, yeah, is the chat an hour early? Yeah, I've got some stuff coming up later today, so I had to do the chat an hour early. Usually we go live at 3, but today I had to go live at 2 Pacific Standard Time. So I hope everyone didn't conflict too much with your guys' schedule, but I just had to do it an hour early this week. Martin saying, hi, I'm a new snowboarder, and in my country, I don't have good snow. I bought the Burton Process Flying V and the Malavitas. What do you think? Yeah, that's a good versatile setup. The fact that you got the Process Flying V, it gives you some stability with the camber zones under your feet. Also gives you some good pop for doing ollies. But the Flying V, the rocker, so rocker in between your feet and rocker towards the tips of the board, give it that more like catch-free feel as well. So you get a bit of both. So you get some stability and you get some quick turns with the rocker zones. So yeah, it's a good versatile setup. And the Malavitas are a classic binding. I've had Malavitas a few different times over my snowboard career, and yeah, they're just a really good mid flex binding that you can do kind of anything with. So good choice. Ben watching from Tahoe, California. Love to get down to California again sometime soon as well. Josh wants to know, what do I think of Fix co-bindings? Yeah, I haven't had a chance to ride Fix bindings, but I've got some friends that ride Fix, and I used to know somebody that worked there, but I think they're kind of based out of Squamish, BC. They have some offices there, but haven't had the chance to ride Fix yet. Tyler says, hey, would you recommend me packing my powder board for my trip to Whistler? It's in January, thanks. Yeah, definitely bring your powder board. Especially Whistler, the weather changes all the time. So if you arrive in Whistler, even if it's not saying it's going to be a powder day, like, you never know here in the mountains. The weather just changes so quickly. And in Whistler especially too, you do want a powder board because the snow's a little bit heavier, and if you're riding in the powder and you just have like a twin park board, it's going to be a lot of work on your back foot. So definitely a powder specific board will just make riding through the powder just so much easier. So yeah, I definitely recommend bringing your powder board. Whenever I do a snowboard trip, I always bring at least two boards, park board and powder board. And anytime I've only brought one board with me, I always regret it. There's always a day or two where I end up having to ride my park board in the powder, and it's just not the same thing. So definitely, if you can, bring two boards with you. We got Healthy Snowboarder says, representing Keystone, Colorado, Summit County, stand up, what fellow snowboarders. Awesome, man. Healthy Snowboarder. I love, Keystone, Colorado, Summit County, awesome area there. Jorge Morales says, are there any 2021 boards you want to try out? What makes them stand out? Lots of 2021 boards I'm interested in. I don't want to give too much away, but a few, like a powder board I'm looking forward to checking out is the Battalion Surfer, also the Jones Ultramind Expander. I know a lot of people love the Mind Expander, but I'm curious about the Ultramind Expander. But honestly, in the 2021 collection, there's a lot of boards I want to check out, but there's also a lot of boards that are the same year after year. So some boards that, even though they're the same as the 2020 as 2021, I actually haven't had a chance to ride yet. So there's just lots of boards that I'm looking forward to checking out. So I've actually got some boards on the way that are 2020 boards that are the exact same for 2021. So hopefully get the chance to ride some of those boards this summer. B-Man591 says, what snowboarding mountains should I visit next year? Yeah, great question, man. Oh man, there's so many great places. I'll give you a few in each sort of country around the world. If I could design like a year of traveling and going to resorts in Canada, I would recommend, oh man, there's so many great places. Revelstoke, BC is pretty amazing in Canada. Down in the US, maybe check out someplace like Jackson Hole, Wyoming. If you go to Asia, Japan, Niseko, Japan, you can't be beat. Where else? Down Southern Hemisphere, you can go to Chile. Chile is an incredible spot. And definitely hit up Cardrona in New Zealand. So lots of places around the world. Also over in Europe, man, there's so many places in Europe. There's like literally thousands of resorts in Europe. St. Anton, Austria is one of my favorites. So lots of places to choose from. And we got the first super chat from Ramy. Awesome. Thanks, Ramy, with the Canadian super chat, man. Appreciate it. Says, do you believe the borders will open in time for us from BC to get down to High Cascade this summer? Any plans? Yeah, that's a good question. So in the States, in Oregon, they run a summer snowboard camp. It's called the High Cascade Snowboard Camp. It's at Mount Hood in Oregon. And usually it opens like the second or third week of June. But at the moment, the border is closed between Canada and the US until I believe June 21st. So I feel like we'll find out getting closer to June 21st whether or not the border is going to open. And I know that they've pushed session 1 and session 2, the first 2 weeks of camp, a bit back, so maybe into early July. So I feel like there is a chance that we'll get down there, but it's really going to be up to the Canadian, like Prime Minister and the government to decide whether the border is going to open. So hopefully Justin Trudeau hopefully opens the border and we get to snowboard in the States this summer. He's actually a snowboarder too. He used to teach snowboarding. The Prime Minister of Canada used to teach snowboarding here in Whistler. So hopefully he understands our pain and he opens up the border in time for some summer snowboarding. Ben Bauer says, Capita going to have a solid line of new stuff. You should check out spring break boards. Yeah, actually, that's another board I've been checking out for the 2021 is some spring break powder snowboards. I've always wanted to try a powder board by spring break, and I just haven't had the chance yet. But I've been looking at they have so many different versions, but the powder racer looks pretty incredible. If you guys have never ridden a spring break board, maybe take a look online, check out some of the graphics and some of the tech they put into their boards. They look really fun. So I think this will be the winter where I finally try a spring break board because they look incredible. And Carlin 2K says, have you tried a DC board? No, I've never actually ridden a DC snowboard, but maybe if High Cascade opens, I'll get to try one of their park boards this July. Dennis H with a super chat as well says, from California, how do you like the Burton Custom Camber? Nice, man. So I've never ridden the Burton Custom Camber, but I have ridden the Burton Custom Flying V. I think the Burton Custom Camber is designed to be like an all-mountain, sort of do-it-all type board. The full camber version is going to be a bit more aggressive, so maybe not as friendly for riding in the powders. You're definitely going to have to really get onto the back foot in powder. And it's going to give you some stability, but it's not going to be as catch-free as the Flying V version. So I would say the Burton Custom Camber is like a high intermediate to low advanced or like advanced snowboard. So I would just keep that in mind. If your riding style is more leaning towards advanced and you like riding with speed and you want to take it into the park, but you're taking it into the park with like speed and you're not worried too much about riding the powder, then the custom camber could be the one. But yeah, it's more of an advanced board, but if that's what you're looking for, then perfect. Lucas says, my current goggles put pressure on my nose, so it's hard to breathe. I've been looking at the Oakley Line Miner. What do you think about those goggles? Yeah, I love the Line Miners. But with what you're talking about, if you have pressure on your nose, then maybe you need to try on a few different pairs to make sure that you just get that right fit for your nose. For me, the Line Miners are a great fit. I don't feel any pressure on my nose or anywhere else, but if you have a larger nose or whatever the issue is, I would definitely just try on some different goggles. But the Line Miners for me are perfect. They're probably my favorite goggle. Also the Anon M4s, the ones over my shoulder, I believe, somewhere over there. They're also a great pair. So a couple good ones. Red's Cap saying, press the like button to support SPC. Awesome. Thanks, Reggie. We got Ricky Chambers on the chat as well. Thanks, Ricky, for shouting out to smash the like button. We got Justin Crowther. And Sebastian saying, so many people get to snowboard just 1 or 2 weeks per year. What do you think of a video of a 7-day progression for improving in such a short time? Man, that's an awesome idea. Yeah, you can definitely progress a lot in 7 days. So that could be a really good video series, is like how to progress in 7 days. I love it, man. I'm gonna write that down after the chat. Yeah, because in the past when I was teaching snowboarding, my typical thing is I would have a group for 5 days, and in those 5 days there'd be such a massive difference from day 1 to day 5. I can remember having students who had never ridden powder before to, taking them into the powder for the first few days, and then by the 5th day they'd be like dropping cliffs and just doing all kinds of crazy stuff into the powder. So you can progress a ton in 7 days. So that's a really great video idea. So I'll get on that. Thanks so much for that, Sebastian. Imre says, question, what is your favorite park feature? Nice, man. I would say my favorite park feature is probably something like a medium jump. Like just having a medium jump it's so versatile. You can do anything. If you're not feeling it, you can just do straight airs and have a good time like that. Or if you're, getting really into the park, then you can step it up and start doing spins and stuff like that on the jump. But I think a medium jump is probably my favorite feature. And then my favorite, I'll just throw out a second one, but probably my favorite rail type feature would be a medium style tube. So just a medium tube, again, just to get lots of different tricks. It's not too easy, but it's also not too hard for me. So yeah, it's just a versatile feature that you can do lots of different tricks. So if I had a medium tube followed by a medium jump, I would be set. That'd be perfect. Thomas says, do you think if there's a possibility to ride in Austria? Yeah, I was actually looking into riding in Austria. I know that Austria opened their borders, I believe. So I think you can fly to Austria right now. Just one of the very few places in the world that you can fly to. But the problem with Austria at the moment is I know that a lot of the glaciers where snowboarding is still open, they don't have their terrain parks open. So, snowboarding on a glacier is really fun, but it is a long way for me to fly at the moment to snowboard in Austria in the next month or two. So maybe once they get the parks open back up on the glaciers, I know they have Stubai Glacier in Austria opens their park in October. So maybe be back out there then for some snowboarding. I've been looking at Switzerland as well. I know Switzerland doesn't have their border open yet, but Zermatt, Switzerland does have a park and they're open like all summer, I believe. And the next question is, will you get to Switzerland to go snowboarding? Yeah, it's a good possibility. Switzerland may be one of the spots. Luke is also asking, how is your trip to Austria looking? Think you will make it, and when? Also, do you plan on hooking up with TJ anytime soon? Yeah, so TJ is in Colorado. I've talked to him a few times. So yeah, it'd be great to do a snowboard trip with TJ. And Austria, again, yeah, it's going to depend on where there's a park. In the summertime, in the Northern Hemisphere, there really has to be a terrain park for it to be worth it for the traveling. So we'll see if it's going to be Austria. It's probably going to be Switzerland, though. I think Switzerland has more parks open on the glaciers. Dre Mon says, what has been your favorite board ever ridden? So I would say my two favorite boards so far, like I have rode a lot of boards that I love. Excuse me. A lot of boards that I love. I always try to find, do my research so that I'm finding snowboards that really match what I want to do, whether it's in the park or whether it's in the powder or just for carving on the groomers. And so I have really enjoyed riding a lot of boards. I would say of my last 10 boards I've purchased and ridden, I have really enjoyed most of them, like 90%, like 9 of the 10 boards I would say that have always been good choices. But two that stand out are my most recent two. So for powder, the LibTech Orca, I've been really loving that board. It just is that perfect balance between float through the powder, and the ability to ride it and really charge at high speeds. and giving you some like stability for like landing small drops or just being sort of bucked around a little bit in the powder. I feel like the Orca like stands up. So that's been my favorite powder board. And I've also ridden lots of different park boards, but the park board that's stood out as well is the one over here, the GNU Headspace. The Headspace with the magnet traction. So it's got that serrated edge, just giving you grip on the ice. And it's also camber dominant with some mellow rocker between the feet. So I guess it's GNU's C3 profile. That board has been my favorite park board for sure. And it's going to be, so I'm actually not going to ride it in the next few months. I'm switching over to the Capita of the Outsiders just to try something new. But yeah, those have been my two that have stood out for sure. And Tudor wants to know, what bindings do you use on the GNU Headspace? So the bindings on the Headspace right now are the bent metal transfer bindings. They're a softer park binding. And yeah, the bent metals were great. I have no complaints about the bent metals. I didn't have any issues with them at all. So far, the bent metal transfers get like a 10 out of 10. They were great. All right, lots of great questions, lots of people in the chat. Thank you guys again all for tuning in. NGen saying the 1st of July, the indoor slopes are opening in Belgium and the Netherlands. Oh, that's really good to know as well. Indoor slopes across Europe are super fun to visit. I've had the chance to ride at two, Hemel Hempstead in England, and then also, what was the name of the other one in the Netherlands? I can't remember the name of it at the moment, but yeah, it's really fun as well. It's got the big terrain park in there. So yeah, maybe some indoor riding will be called for. Vandeput asking, do you have any boot recommendations? Absolutely. Boots are another thing I've bought and worn and gone through many different pairs of boots. My favorite boots, just the things that I look for me personally that I like. One is the traditional lacing system. I find that with the traditional laces, I can get the boots as tight as I like, and then they hold that tightness all day long. And I actually haven't really had any issues with traditional laces breaking. So I really like traditional laces. And I also tend to go for like a mid to soft flex boot. So like a 4 or 5 on the flex rating scale. For me, that is just like the perfect sort of wheelhouse for me for stiffness. And I would say I have, I guess, two brands that have stood out recently to me that have been extremely comfortable. The Vans and also Adidas. So I've worn Vans High Standard Pros and also Vans Sequels. So two Vans boots that have the traditional laces, mid to soft flex, and very comfortable. And then the Adidas Samba boots. So the Adidas Sambas, I think, are behind me like right here. And yeah, they're comfortable and same specs, traditional laces, mid flex. And I know everyone sort of has different experiences with comfort and boots, but I'd recommend, if you can, try the boots on, wear them around the store, keep your feet in them as long as they'll let you keep your feet in the boots, and just see if there's any like pressure points or uncomfortable spots. And if they feel good to you, then they could be good boots for you as well. But yeah, those have been my favorites. Vans and Adidas really stand out. Luca is saying those orange Stratas paired with the red-ish Outsiders. Feels good. What is your outerwear color of the choice for next season? Good question, man. Yeah, I don't know what outerwear color I'm going to go with. Last season, it was all about that Big Bird yellow Volcom outerwear, so that was pretty fun to wear. And I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to have to see what comes out for next season, but who knows? It could be anything. Let's have to wait and see what 2021 outerwear gets released. Jose Bortisa is on here just saying what's up to everyone. We got Stoked Shredder 420 on here. Shout out to Chuck Van as well. We got our buddy Yannick in Motion SLB saying what's up. I think that doing the live chat actually just a little bit earlier today has made it easier for everyone in Europe to join in. So thanks again for all the Europeans tuning in. I actually wanted to answer a few questions off of the most recent video as well, just really quickly, because there were some really good questions on there that I think are worth answering. And for everyone that's checked out the latest video, the parkboard setup, really appreciate it, guys. So yeah, here's a really good question from Eric Chang. He says, why do you rotate the high back to align with the snowboard? What is the purpose of that? Can anyone explain? So thanks to Eric Chang. I don't know if you guys can see that. Come on. Kind of. But yeah, so Eric, if you're watching this, and for everyone out there, if you've never rotated the high backs on your bindings before, it's worth taking like 5 minutes and rotating them. So basically the high back of your binding, that's what you lean on when going onto your heel edge. And so when you put your stance into a duck stance, the high back gets rotated inward. And so with your high backs like slanted in, when you go to lean back, you're not really leaning like back, like straight back onto your edge. It's tilted onto an angle. So with most high backs, they actually allow you to then rotate it back straight so that it's level with your heel edge again. So even though your binding is ducked out, you can bring the heel back around so that it lines up with your heel edge. Then when you go to get onto your heels, you're, I guess, like using your high back most efficiently. So you're really just pressing on it and transferring that energy into your heel edge most efficiently. If it's on too much of an angle, you're going to be leaning back also like on an angle, or maybe not catching the whole heel back, high back, and it's not going to allow you to really use the most of that high back to transfer your energy into the heel edge of your snowboard. So if you guys get the chance, rotate your high backs so that they're as straight as possible with your heel edge. But yeah, really great question on that last video. Something I thought was worth shouting out to you guys. Luke says, what is your favorite super easy trick? Nice, man. So a trick that I find really easy is to do a backside 180 off of my heels, and it feels really good. And I've done it so many times that it's become easy. But yeah, that's probably my favorite easy trick. It's really fun sometimes to do 180s off of the wrong edge. So typically you do a back 180 off your toes, but to do it off the heels can be really fun as well. So that's my favorite easy trick. I'll throw out another like really easy one. I would say is like a butter 180. So you do a 180 into a tail butter, and it's fun because you can just do one, or you can continue to like 180 and get into like a butter onto your tail, like just over and over again down the slope. So that's a really fun one to learn as well. Reeves wants to know, have you ever snowboarded in Lake Tahoe, California? If so, what is your favorite mountain/resort? So I've only ridden in one place in Tahoe, and that was North Star. And it was, when I went, it was like a really bad snow year. So I didn't get the full North Star Tahoe experience. So, but I did really like the resort, the people, the whole vibe of North Star was awesome. Met tons of people from San Francisco that weekend. So would love to get back to Tahoe again when there's more snow. Old Man Shredder, giving himself a shout out. So he's done 139 days on some kind of board today. That's amazing, dude. Hashtag DWCP. So 139 days on a board. Good job. Good job. I've been seeing your skateboard videos up on YouTube. So you're crushing it, man. Josh DeSmith saying, "Hey Kev, I know Whistler is also known for mountain biking in the summer. Do you have any other outdoor hobbies other than snowboarding?" Good question, Josh. So I know that, yeah, mountain biking is huge here in Whistler in the summers. For me, I've stayed away from mountain biking just because like my life is and career is snowboarding, so I'm afraid to risk getting hurt mountain biking. And I know that mountain biking is one of those sports that's like very risky, and a lot of my friends have hurt themselves mountain biking, so I'm actually kind of afraid to get too much into mountain biking because I don't want to get hurt and to keep me away from snowboarding. And it's also like very expensive, so that's been another thing that's kept me from buying a bike. But I do have a bike that I do just ride around the streets of Whistler. So I do some road biking. But in the summer, I love doing hikes. So there's tons of hiking trails around Whistler. So that's one thing I love to do. And when I do go visit some of my friends back in Ontario, I love going up to their cottages where we just kind of hang out, maybe have a campfire, maybe go onto the water, like onto a lake sometimes, maybe do some wakeboarding. So that's another favorite thing, outdoor activity for me to do, is like wakeboarding on a lake. I don't get to do it as much as I like, but yeah, those are some really fun things to do. I would love also to go to some tropical places. Like at the moment, the last couple of years, I haven't really had a long stretch of summer. So I was hoping to get down to Hawaii and maybe do some surfing. So surfing would be a really fun thing to do in the summer as well. All right, we've got NGen with the super chat as well. Shout out Deweek Camber podcast crew. Awesome. Thanks, NGen, for tuning in, brother. Hope you're doing well. Hope your knees recovering and everything is all good. And Reg Cap with the super chat, also support for hashtag DWCP and positive vibes for speedy recovery of Wim. Yeah, hope you're having a good, fast recovery. I saw, I think, a post of your knee surgery. So I hope that's recovering really well, man. Grayson says, Hey Kevin, I've been riding for a year and a half now. This year I learned how to hit boxes and some rails, but I don't know what I should do. I can hit hard features and get better. Yeah, like it's all about with boxes. With the thing for boxes and rails is that on a box, you can learn so many different tricks. So from presses, tail press, nose press, board slides, lip slides, 180s on, off. So there's tons and tons of tricks to learn on a box. I'd really recommend like learning as many tricks as you can on the box before stepping it up to more difficult features. And you can also step it up to more difficult boxes first before moving on to like rails and things like that. So if you're hitting a flat box and you got a lot of tricks on that, maybe find a down box that you can learn all those tricks on as well. And the thing with rails too is a lot of them you actually have to jump up onto, or there's a gap involved for getting on. So maybe find a box feature that has a gap that you have to actually ollie to get up onto. So there's so much learning and progression to do with boxes, tubes, and rails that it's better to do it slowly. And once you've put in a lot of work on the easier features, it builds up your confidence too, so that when you go to take it to a harder tube or rail feature, it actually doesn't seem as intimidating and you actually feel like you're ready. So definitely build it up on the easier features first. And then, yeah, once you're ready, find yourself like the easiest possible rail you can find. And yeah, that's a really great way to do it. So awesome to hear that you're progressing, and just keep going, man. In Motion SLB with the super chat saying Switzerland opening borders 15th of June. All right. Okay. Good to know. So yeah, 15th of June, possibly a trip to Zermatt. Let's see what happens. All right. Let's just cruise back. I'm just going to go back and make sure that I didn't miss any questions here. I'm sure I missed a few. Jonah is saying, answer my question, Kevin, ollie or nollie? I guess I'll say nollie. Yeah, I would love to be able to, I'd love to be able to nollie better. I'm decent at nollies, but when you see somebody doing a really high, like strong nollie, that's always impressive. So I'll say nollie. Good question, man. Oh yeah, and somebody's saying that the indoor slope that I couldn't remember in the Netherlands is called Landgraf. That's right. Jonah is saying, what kind of speed is your favorite to ride? I like to hit at least 20 miles per hour on a groomer, but all my skier friends tell me I got to take it slow and enjoy. Oh, really? That's strange because usually skiers are much faster than snowboarders. So that's kind of funny that you're the fastest in your group. Typically, I like to go a bit slower too. I don't know the exact speed, but I like sort of taking my time, finding all the side hits. But speed is fun as well. There was a video that I made last spring in New Zealand where it was all about riding with speed, and speed definitely helps for like when you're going for jumps. It gives you that confidence for landing jumps, or if you're trying to go bigger, you definitely need speed. So speed can be really fun as well, especially when you have runs that are more wide open and you can actually open it up a little bit. Speed can be super fun. So yeah, I don't know how fast I go, but yeah, riding with speed is definitely fun. And Kareem 2K says, how big of an upgrade is the new Union Forces compared to the old ones? Worth the upgrade? That's a good question. I don't know. It depends on how old you're looking at. I think the biggest thing that changes with some bindings is the straps. So a lot of the ankle straps and toe straps change over the years. So it's a type of thing where, for me at least, like with the Unions I recently bought, I got the Union Forces. The one thing that kept me away from Forces in the past was the ankle strap. I wasn't a huge fan. I thought it was too wide and too chunky. And they've changed it to more of like a one-piece molded ankle strap. So that's one thing that was a noticeable change that I thought was worth upgrading to the newest year. So I think that's what you got to look at. Like, take a look at the old ones and compare them to the new ones and see, like, is there big changes that I can actually see that will be worth the upgrade. So that's what I would say is what you have to check out. Jonah says, bro, how do you get better at control in icy conditions? From Cleveland. Shout out Jonah in Cleveland. Icing conditions, yeah, ice is tough. If you have trouble in ice, maybe check out a snowboard that has magnet traction. I really find that boards with magnet traction, the serrated edge for down the edges, really help on ice. I think if I lived on the East Coast, I would definitely have a magnet traction board. And if you don't have a magnet traction board, I would say a couple things is, like, you definitely want to look ahead to see where the ice is so you can anticipate hitting it. And then when you do hit that ice, really let your board slide with it. So don't try to stop yourself too much on ice. That's when you can just slide right out. So go with the ice, and also try to keep your weight like on top of your board. So if your weight's on top of your board, you're going to slide much easier. But if you get like your weight like out past your edge, if you're on an angle on top of your board, then that's when your board can just like slide right out on that ice. So body on top of the board, go with it and look ahead so that you can see where the ice patches are. And if you can, get a board with magnet traction. All right, Ricky Chambers with the super chat from Australia says, thoughts on Burton Malavita winged high backs. Nice, man. the winged high backs are pretty intense. So yeah, if you guys don't know, it's like you have the high back, and then around the side there's like an extra sort of like winged part. I did ride those last summer at Mount Hood at the High Cascade Camp, and I found that they were a little bit strange for sure. I think it takes some getting used to. I think if you had them and you got used to them, you wouldn't notice. But my first day riding them, I definitely felt like they're a little bit different. It was weird having that extra piece of high back, but I think it does help I think it could help for like getting into presses. So getting back into a tail press, having that bit of a winged high back can definitely help you get into the press more. And then same with the nose press. So I feel like that would be where the winged high back would come into play. To be honest, I wouldn't go for a winged high back just because it's I don't know, it's too much to get used to. I'm not missing it at the moment. Like when I'm snowboarding now, I'm not thinking to myself, oh, I wish my high back wrapped around more. So I don't know. I don't think, for me personally, I don't need it, but maybe if you can demo it, find a demo of a Malavita winged high back and give it a try. But for me, I wouldn't go for it. I just don't need it. But yeah, that's my thought. Mac Visk saying Capita Super DOA or Solomon Huck Knife Pro. Ooh, good question. So I would say that the Solomon Huck Knife Pro, so the traditional Solomon Huck Knife is more of like a soft flex board, like a 3 or a 4. So it's pretty soft, intermediate park board. You can do butters, you can do presses. It's good in the park. And then the Huck Knife Pro, what I believe is that it's stiffer. It's a stiffer board. So it's going to be more aggressive, a bit more catchy, and more of an advanced level park board. So if that's what you want, if you want a stiffer park board, then the Solomon Huck Knife Pro is probably what you should go for. Where the Capita Super DOA is, the regular DOA is already stiff. It's like a 6 out of 10. And the Super DOA is like the same stiffness. It's a 6. So the thing that they changed with the Super DOA is just some of the tech in the board with like the 3D cutout in the nose and tail. I think the tips are a bit softer for getting into presses, and then more pop. So with the Super DOA, I think it's like the tech they've put into it has improved the board, where the Solomon Huck Knife Pro, I believe they've just made it stiffer. So I would say between those two boards, they're probably very similar. I would go with the Capita Super DOA to be my personal choice. And NGen saying the Union Forces will be a lot better next season. Awesome. Good to know. I almost bought some, Yes. And I did buy them because I thought they looked a lot better too. So looking forward to testing those out. Grayson with a really good question says, what should you do in the off season to get better or to keep skills that you have learned? Yeah, lots of things you can do in the off season to keep your snowboard skills up there or even progress. So I think skateboarding is amazing for improving your balance over the summer. So if you can get on a skateboard as much as possible, it's really going to help to improve your snowboard balance when snowboarding comes back around. I found the thing it helped me with most is actually being on my toes more. So I feel like in skateboarding, you're using your toes a lot more than you are in snowboarding. And having that, like learning that balance of being more on my toes definitely helped me with my snowboarding skills. So definitely, if you can, get on a skateboard. And then the other one would be to try to go somewhere that like a trampoline center. So trampolining, like practicing your air awareness, and then even being on a trampoline with a trampoline board on your feet can really help you just like learn tricks, build your air awareness. And a lot of places too, they'll have things set up that replicate like getting onto a rail. So you can practice your rail tricks as well. So I think between those two things, that's like the perfect off-season training for snowboarding. Going to a trampoline center and then skateboarding. I think those will help immensely. Justin says, do you still eat those banana cocoa smoothies? I do sometimes, not as much as I used to have them like twice a day, every day. And now I'll have like a few a week. But I still love banana smoothies with like all kinds of different stuff, like fruit or cacao or dates. I put all kinds of stuff in there. But yeah, I'll have a couple big smoothies a week. But I was like a smoothie. I was addicted to smoothies at one point. I was like doing two a day. Martin says, advice to plan snowboard trips, websites, and companies. Yeah, really good question, man. So one thing that I've been using a lot to help me with planning snowboard trips has been an app or website called snowforecast.com. And that's helped me to plan like when is the best time to go to visit places, because you can go into the history and it'll tell you like what is the snowiest like week of any resort. And then also just keeping an eye on the weather of any places that you're interested in going to see like how the season has been. So snowforecast.com has been really helpful for planning snowboard trips. And then for like booking places, I look on Airbnb quite a lot just to compare like, is it a better deal if I'm renting a place to stay in an Airbnb over a hotel? And I find that in a lot of resort towns, there's like really inexpensive Airbnbs. So that's helped to keep the trips a bit cheaper. And what else? I also have a credit card that I get travel points on, and that's helped to pay for some of the flights. So a credit card is one of those things though, you want to keep the balance at zero, but having a travel card with points has helped to make some of the flights cheaper. Other than that, it's and then I would also say just for like looking at the resort and the runs, FatMap has helped a lot as well. So FatMap, a website, but mainly I think like an app for your phone where you can go on and explore some of the runs ahead of time. So FatMap has been pretty helpful too, just for learning the names of things. And then they also have some runs where people like will write a description. So that's pretty helpful too. All right. Grandmaster Ash wants to know, when are you heading to Colorado to smash that POW with TJ? Yeah, I would love to get down to Colorado. I think all the powder is gone. TJ put up a video recently where the powder looked amazing. I think that was from March or April though, but it looked in absolutely insane. But at the moment, I think that I'll have to wait maybe until December time to be smashing powder again in Colorado. Juan wants to know, where in North America should I go for a good après ski and nightlife experience? Awesome. Really good question. I think some of the best après is probably here in Whistler, actually, because when you ride down the mountain at the end of the day, you end up like in the village, in the town. And there's just like dozens of restaurants and bars to go to. So I feel like in North America, Whistler probably has one of the best après type areas. In the States, let me think in the States, the funny thing about a lot of the resorts in the States is that the resort isn't right at the base. So you have to drive away from the mountain. And man, honestly, like not too many places are coming to me that have really great après outside of Whistler. If anybody knows one down in the States, like a resort that has really good apres, let me know. But for me, it's been, I think Whistler takes it. I think Whistler has the best after snowboarding experience. Lucas wants to, he says, do you think you can make a video on how to ride on different types of snow? Icy, slushy snow. Awesome idea. Yeah, there's a few videos on the channel. Definitely got the video on how to ride icy snow and powder. I think there's a video on how to ride through the trees. Slushy snow, I don't know if I have a video on how to ride the slush. I may have made a video about riding slush, but I can't remember. But that's a good idea. And there's hopefully some good slushy days coming up this summer. So if I'm riding the slush, I'll make a how to ride the slush video. Good idea, Lucas. And somebody just called you says, what is your tip to ride a bumpy slope? Good question. I don't get too many questions about riding the bumps. There's a difference though. So just a bumpy slope in general, not moguls, but just riding through bumps. I think it's about like really using your knees and anticipating the bumps. So like looking ahead, I think looking ahead is probably the most important thing. And then as a bump comes to you, you're really like using each knee like an independent shock absorber. So like the first one absorbs, and then as the second one absorbs, the first one comes back down. So you're really like using your knees independent. I think that really helps through the bumps. If you're riding through the moguls, that's a bit more tricky. I have a few videos on how to ride moguls, but I think the most important thing is like how you pick your line through the moguls. And I think that for snowboarders, you actually want to ride on top of the bump and then make your turn down the face of the mogul. So with big moguls, the hard part for snowboarders is finding like where we can cut our speed with our edges. And down the face of a mogul, I find is the easiest place to like actually put the board on edge and to cut some of that speed. So yeah, give it a try, but using your knees independently in the moguls too, very important. And it's something that just comes with a bit of practice. And Michael Morin says, how do you deal with pressure points from goggle straps when you wear them under your helmet? Good question, Michael. Yeah, it's a tough one. Sometimes, putting your goggles under your helmet, you do get some weird pressure points. What I do is I'll actually it depends on the helmet, but with some helmets, they have like an inner padding that isn't for safety, but just for comfort. And sometimes I have to remove certain parts of that inner padding. And I find that a lot of time that can help solve my any pressure point problems. Also, you may need to adjust the thickness of the beanie that you wear. So if your beanie is too thin or too thick, that can also create some pressure point problems. Also, just like where you have the strap, because you can kind of like adjust it, move it a little bit. So you can ride with the strap a little bit higher on the back of your head or lower, depending on where that pressure point is. So play around with those different things, and normally you can like fix the pressure point problem just making those small adjustments. Beatrice says, how much time does it take to get good at snowboarding? Snowboarding is funny because the first few days can be really difficult just to get through those beginner stages. But then once like day 3 or day 4 comes around, and a lot of people like shoot off to becoming like intermediate or high intermediate riders. So typically I think to get good, sometimes it can just take 3 or 4 days. Some people, honestly, if they have a background in other board sports, they could get good at it in just one day. And there's like a joke, like what's the difference between a snowboard instructor and their student? And the answer to the joke is like 3 or 4 days, because you can get good at snowboarding in a short time. But to get really good and past that, sometimes it can take like a few more weeks. But everyone learns at a different pace, and I think as long as you're enjoying it, then it doesn't really matter how long it takes. All right. Tanner wants to know, do you plan on making a video at Woodward in Park City? No plans on going to Woodward, but we were there, Woodward in at Copper a few years ago, and that was super fun. So Woodward is awesome. I would love to get back there. We'll see if it happens. Reeves wants to know, what's a good age to start teaching a small child to snowboard without scaring them? She's almost 2. Awesome. Yeah, that's a tricky one, because I feel like each kid is a little bit different with like how much interest they have in learning to snowboard. I feel like sometimes people try to get their kids to learn too young, but then it depends on the kid, because some kids are really into it. I can remember when I was like a young kid, just always loving to like run and slide down snow and try to like find an ice patch to slide across. So I was always into it. But if they seem keen, and if they seem like that's something they're going to be into, it kind of depends, but like maybe between 6 and 8 years old is maybe the like ideal time to start snowboarding. I feel like under 6, if they're too small, then it's hard to like make those adjustments on your heel or toe edge to like stop effectively and to not catch an edge. But that can change too, because if you're like going to be with them a lot and like really helping them through the turns, then they could probably start a little bit earlier. But I feel like for snowboarding, 6 to like 8 is probably like a better age, maybe 6. And it also depends on how quickly they grow too. So 6 may be the sweet spot. Cool. Let me just make sure. We got another super chat from A Million Pop Off. Thanks for the support, A Million. Awesome. Cool, guys. So I'm going to wrap up the live chat there. Big thanks for everyone for jumping on. And yeah, I hope you guys are all having a good time out there, staying safe and everything. And yeah, just a big thank you guys for hopping on and talking about snowboarding with me for this hour. If you guys haven't yet, definitely subscribe here to Snowboard Pro Camp and hit this video if you hit the like button if you liked it. And if you're rewatching this video and you have a question, definitely leave it for me down in the comments. And yeah, lots of videos coming out soon. I've ordered some more snowboards, so there's some more board unboxing videos coming soon, and hopefully get onto some more snowboard hikes here in Whistler. And once the traveling opens back up, we'll be traveling again for snowboarding too. But yeah, thank you guys all again for tuning in. Big shout out to everyone that's been on the chat, and I'll talk to you guys on here next Thursday. Awesome. Sweet. Thanks again, guys. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you guys soon. Later.